Good evening, Himani. Can you just allow me to share the screen?
Yes, sure, ma'am. Avantika, can you make ma'am the co-host, please?
Can you see?
Yes, ma'am, we can see that.
All right. Fine.
Yes, ma'am, the screen is visible.
Okay.
Very good evening to all the educators and Anuradha ma'am. Welcome to this session. Anuradha ma'am, we'll wait for another 5 minutes because I see a lot of participants are still joining in.
Sure, sure.
Good evening, Yamini ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Sujala ma'am. So it is very good to see some of the teachers who are in every session. That just gives us that motivation that we're on the right track.
In fact, I was just thinking that later on, towards the end of the session, I was going to tell maybe Yamini Kundar ma'am needs some kind of special recognition.
I know. I know.
She's always there and right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning. Kavita ma'am also I see. Shweta ma'am.
Arunada ma'am, thank you. And I always believe once a teacher, you are always a learner.
True.
That's true.
So whatever sessions I can attend online, I try my level best to attend. I go through various blogs, through various books.
Wow.
various videos, and then whatever I think is acceptable for my students, what they would benefit, I try to incorporate it in my classroom teaching.
Wonderful.
That's actually, see, ma'am, learning has today become so accessible. There was a time when you always had to physically go out to learn.
Correct.
And it was difficult. Not all the time was it possible. Today, it's like anywhere, anytime learning. Wherever you are, whatever you're traveling, you can learn. You're practically even attending a nature's call, you can be learning at that
Yeah,
time.
absolutely.
I mean, life has become on your fingertips. It's just the zeal and the desire to do it.
The only thing is that many times it remains at the fingertips. It doesn't come back.
It doesn't come back. Yeah, that's also true. So, Yamini ma'am, you have my number. If you could just WhatsApp me the request, I'll take this up. Just send me a WhatsApp. We'll discuss this. So I think, ma'am, we can begin. It's already 4:32.
Yeah.
People will keep on joining in.
Yeah, sure. So shall I begin?
Yes. So I'll just take a quick
Yeah.
intro. So good morning, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the session. Like I just mentioned, I see a lot of educators, even Himanshu sir, who's just joined us. I know these are regular visitors and like regular attendees for our sessions of the commune. It's really a pleasure to see all of you every time we have a session, and on how much ever short notice I put a message. And thank you. It's a heartfelt thank you for all of you for making us feel that we are on the right track and we're doing the right thing. On special demand, we've already done phrases and clauses, the first part phrases before, and today Anuradha ma'am will be taking up clauses. Anuradha's ma'am's session, since all of you are repeat attendees, does not need an introduction. I don't have to tell how good an educator or how good a trainer she is. I've received calls saying कि जैसे मैम पढ़ाते हैं ना, अगर हम ऐसे ही पढ़ा दें, तो मैम मुझे लगता है ग्रामर में कोई बच्चा मार्क्स नहीं लूज करेगा. I've had teachers call me and tell me, ma'am, that. So I said, yes, that is so true. Even I have never learned grammar the way I learned with Anuradha ma'am. So on this note, Anuradha ma'am, over to you. And educators, I'm going to mute everybody. So if you have any questions, just put them on the chat box or keep it in writing. Towards the end of the session, we'll take them up. It's always easier that way. Anuradha ma'am, once I mute everybody, even you will go on mute, but you can unmute yourself then.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Himani. And thank you, like Himani said, thank you all of you who are joining us every time. More than just words, your presence here is extremely flattering to me. And I feel very, very motivated to continue these sessions. Because to be very honest, when Himani first talked to me about these sessions, I was thinking, what am I going to teach to teachers who already know everything in grammar or whatever grammar is available? I mean, there is so many videos and so much of resources all over the place. What am I going to add to that? But now when I see so many of you joining and rejoining and rejoining, if I can use that word, I feel very good. And I feel somewhere, I hope I'm on the right track and I'm making some difference to your life. Okay, now, last time, like Himani had said, I had covered phrases. And honestly, I felt that clauses is pretty easy. There's nothing much to teach on clauses. But when I made that statement last time, there was an uproar and they said, nothing doing. You have to do clauses also with us. And so here goes. The problem with phrases was first to understand what is a non-finite verb, and that only takes a lot of time. Once we have got that under our control, clauses, what is a clause, is easier, I feel, to understand. And what happens is then sometimes the teachers get a little confused about what is the difference between, what is actually the difference between a clause and a sentence? Okay. So now if you look at the definition, though I always say for understand what it is basically and don't go at the definition. But what happens is when you look at the definition, also from the definition, you kind of distill the meaning behind it and not just stop at the definition. So let's look at the definition. A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a predicate. Now, by itself, a predicate means a verb with the whatever object, direct object, indirect object, whatever it is. That's what a predicate is. So, subject, verb, object. Isn't that what a sentence is all about also, right? So, this is, I have taken this directly from some site, and sometimes I purposely take exactly from there, because then I want to share with you what is available on the net and how we should use the resources that are available on the net. So this is what was given. A clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a predicate, and they have given you the example Charlie runs, and told that even though there is no object over here, this can be the runs part of it can be considered a predicate. So you have a subject and a predicate here. But if you look at the example that is given above, then that is also a sentence, Charlie runs. Okay, so how do you teach what is a clause and what is a sentence? So what I would suggest that you do, first of all, of course, you are explaining what is a phrase and what is a clause. I am not going to stop on at this place for a long time. If later on you want me to recap on this, we can do that. But right now, since I've done more than an hour of what are phrases, I don't want to stop over here. But let's look at this. Okay, let's first look at this part which is there in the blue on the right hand side. Clause versus sentence. Like I told you, I purposely take things that are available directly on the net, because all of us are taking things from the net, right? And then we are kind of understanding and then taking it further to the class. So a clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. Okay. And then the next they say for a sentence that it's a group of words that expresses a complete thought. Clause, they say, sometimes conveys a complete thought, whereas a sentence always conveys a complete thought. Okay. Then the clause is a part of a sentence, whereas a sentence can contain clauses. So clauses make up sentences. Sentences are made up of clauses. So a clause can be a sentence. A sentence cannot be a clause. Okay. So for example, over here, I know the boy who lives in that house. Now, if you break this up into two parts, we would say, I know the boy is one part, who lives in that house is the next part. Now, I know the boy can be a sentence in itself, right? I know the boy. That is a clause that can be a sentence. Who lives in that house is a clause, but it is not a sentence. Okay. So I know the boy is a clause. Who lives in that house is a clause. Both these are clauses. Why? Both of them have subject, verb, subject and predicate. Okay. Now, what happens is, by the way, before I go further, like I'm again and again saying that all of you are teachers who have been teaching for many years, and therefore a lot of this you already know. So sometimes I may assume that you know certain things and I may go ahead. If you need me to explain any part again, please let me know. Okay. Now, what I will be focusing on is the problems that we encounter when we are teaching in the class, because the children ask us questions and then sometimes we don't know how to handle those questions. It has happened many, many times with me. That's why I'm kind of trying to be of help to all of you. Let's get back. I know the boy. I is a subject. Know the boy is the predicate. Very clear. Now, when the child asks, but who lives in that house? Who is the subject? So we say that that who is standing for the boy, and therefore it is the subject. Okay, lives in that house is the predicate. So here also you have a subject and a predicate. But this becomes a little difficult for children to understand. Every time this who, what, etc. stands for this or stands for that, they find it difficult to make that connection. So I would suggest that you, I'm sorry, I have missed one thing. Yeah, so what you do is you tell the children that a basic difference between a phrase and a clause is that a phrase either does not contain a verb or contains a non-finite verb, and a clause contains a finite verb. Let's just stick to that. Okay, forget about subject and predicate and this and that and all. Why confuse the children? We as teachers should know it. But why put it, take it ahead to the children? Because what is the purpose of our teaching phrases and clauses to the child? Not that he should learn the definition very well, but that he should be able to identify a phrase or a clause in a sentence. So for that, why not give him very, very simple tips? Okay, and one simple tip is this, that in a phrase, both of them are group of words, but in a phrase, you will either not have a verb at all, or if you have a verb, you cannot make out the tense when you look at that group of words. Whereas in a clause, when you have a group of words, you can make out what is the tense in that group of words. This is the basic difference between phrase and clause. Whether that is the real definition or not, we are not going to be bothered when we are teaching in the class. If somewhere you have to write some exam where you are asked to differentiate, please go ahead and use all these definitions, but do not bring that into the class. So how do we go about teaching clauses? Okay. The exercises that you give, the examples that you use also should follow a system. I have found a lot of confusion occurs in the class because we don't have clarity in our thought. We don't have the steps and we jump from one thing to the other, and therefore the child is not able to keep pace with our thought. So let us break every single concept into smaller steps and see how to take the child forward. So we give different types of exercises. The first kind of exercise, we just ask the student to differentiate between phrase and clause. This is after you have taught what is a phrase, what is a clause. Just give them exercises. And then after that, you give them exercises where the student has to expand a phrase into a clause or contract a clause into a phrase. How to do it? Give them a lot of exercise. Before you go into types of clauses, let them first understand what is a phrase and what is a clause, what is a clause and what is a phrase. By dealing with them, by making the changes, interchanging between phrases and clauses, whether that is there in the exam or not, spend a little time in doing that. Okay. So what kind of questions would you give? The first type of questions would be, you will say, identify whether the underlying group of words are phrases or clauses. Teachers, see, our goal as a teacher is to see that the child understands us, that the child feels what the teacher is teaching in the class is so easy. It is, there's nothing difficult about it. That is what we have to get the child to feel. Not, oh my God, this is so difficult. Our teacher is so awesome that she knows all this. That is not a good teacher. A good teacher is one who makes the child feel, Ari, this is nothing. I can do it. Okay. So that is what you have to do. And for that, you have to take them step by step. So now in the first step, all that you're doing is you are asking, I'm giving you some words, identify, is this a phrase? Is this a clause? Is this a phrase? Is this a clause? Okay, you can give just one exercise of about 10 or 15 sentences. Then you give the next one where they look for the phrase or the clause in a sentence? Are they able to pick it out in a sentence? First time you have given them the words and they are just identifying, this is a phrase, this is a clause, this is a clause, this is a phrase, that way. Next, what you're doing, now you know what is a phrase and what is a clause. I'm giving you a sentence. From this, pick. First of all, find out in that sentence where the phrase is, where is the clause, and then tell me whether it is a phrase or a clause. For example, Sita is standing next to the Ashoka tree. Okay, so how would we break up this sentence? Sita is standing. That is one part. Next to the Ashoka tree. That is the second part. Sita is standing. Can you make out the tense? It is a present continuous tense. Yes, you can make out. So it is a clause. Next to the Ashoka tree. Is there any verb over there? There is no verb. Therefore, it's a phrase. Wonderful. So this sentence has got one clause and one phrase. Similarly, the teachers discuss the matter with the principal. How would you break up this? The teachers discuss the matter. That's one. With the principal. That's the second. The teachers discuss the matter. Can you make out the tense? Yes, it's past tense. So this is a clause. With the principal. Is there a verb over there? There is no verb over there. I have given 2 sentences because this is just for example, but ideally in your 10 sentences, you should include some infinitives, some participles and all that, and have the children identify those particular phrases or clauses. So this is your second type of worksheet that you're giving, second type of questions. Then the third type is 2 kinds. First, expand the following phrases into clauses. I found this chocolate while searching for pens in my bag. Now, why have I underlined this? Because right now, I am trying to, am I testing whether the child can make out which is a phrase and which is a clause over here in this exercise? I am not testing that. I am testing whether the child can take a phrase and make it into a clause. So I will identify the phrase for the child and I say, no, come on, here is a phrase, make it into a clause. Can somebody do this for me? Himani, could you just unmute for a little while?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I found this chocolate while searching for pens in my bag. I'm saying that this the while searching for pens in my bag is a phrase. Okay.
Hmm.
Can anybody make this into a clause?
So you can unmute any. Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm saying allow people to unmute themselves.
All right. All right. So yeah, now you can unmute yourself.
Himanshu this side. I found this chocolate. Yes, it's a clause. While searching for pens in my bag, it's a phrase, but we can simply just transform this sentence into a clause or this phrase into a clause while you were searching for pens in your bag, or like while you were searching for pens in my bag. So then I added a subject and a verb. So then automatically it became a clause.
Right. So I would say I found this chocolate while I was searching for pens in my bag. So searching, I make it into I was searching. Perfect. Okay. Can somebody else do the next one? Painted on the wall were the words. Now this is past participle, and wherever past participle is there, it becomes a little tricky. But can somebody do this for me? Yes, anyone can do this for me?
Is everybody thinking or confused?
Painted on the wall with the words.
You can change the order of the words. I'm giving you a hint here.
I saw painted on the wall the words, open inverted commas, you are the best, close inverted commas.
Okay.
Or you could also
Anyone else?
say, you could also say the words, you are the best, were painted on the wall.
Yes. Okay. No, but yeah, all right, fine. So we are looking at making now painted on the wall, you're making it into were painted on the wall, correct? So you have made that into a clause. Okay, now let's look at the next one. Now convert the following clauses into phrases. This is easy, I feel. I attended a concert that was organized by an NGO. Make it into a phrase.
I attended a concert that organized by
Attended a concert.
I attended a concert organized by an NGO.
Perfect, perfect. I attended a concert organized by an NGO. All right, next one. When we entered the house, we realized that we had been robbed.
Okay, Madhu, you?
on entering the
the house. Sorry.
Yes,
Carry on.
perfect. On entering the house, we realized that we had been robbed. Okay, teachers, for us, it is easy because we've been dealing with this day in and day out, year in and year out. But if you do a few of these kind of exercises, it becomes easy for the child also. So we looked at 3 kinds of exercises before we came to types of clauses or anything like that, or even main clause, subordinate clause. We are not worried about all that right now. We are only looking at whether the child knows what is a phrase and what is a clause, and how to make a phrase into a clause and how to make a clause into a phrase. This is our objective so far. Okay. Now we go on to another part which very, very, very few teachers ever even think about. Because the minute we start with clauses, we are only thinking about main clause and subordinate clause, independent clause, dependent clause. We are only looking at that. But the point is that all these 3 kinds of sentences, simple, compound, and complex, before we come to complex, simple and compound also contain clauses. A simple sentence is a clause. The crow flew to its nest. It is a clause and it is a sentence. Okay, so if you can just get the children, just even mention it, give a few examples and show. Why should we show this? Because we are getting the child to understand the concept of a clause in entirety, okay, completely. We are getting him to understand the essence of a clause, so that wherever he goes, whenever if he looks at a sentence and he wants to, if at all he wants to find the clause, he can make it out, regardless of whether it is in the grammar book or in the newspaper or somewhere else. Compound sentence also contains clauses. In fact, it is 2 clauses or more, 2 or more clauses that are just linked together with the coordinating conjunctions. So the crow flew to its nest and fed its young ones. So you have 2 clauses which are joined by the conjunction and then you come to complex, where you have your main clause and dependent clause and all that. The crow flew to its nest since it wanted to feed its young ones. Now, I don't know whether you as teachers face this problem. I face it very, very often in the class, that fanboys are conjunctions. So sentences which have any of the words that are there in the acronym. I'm assuming everybody knows what I mean by fanboys. In case you don't know, fanboys is the acronym for the coordinating conjunctions for and but, for and nor, but, or, yet, so. These are the 7 coordinating conjunctions. Okay, so fanboys. So if one of those words are there in the sentence, it becomes a compound sentence. However, this word as is such a problematic word, because you say that it is one of the coordinating conjunctions, but in a sentence like this, that I took some medicine as I was ill. As I was ill becomes a dependent clause. So how can it be a coordinating conjunction? Children ask me, and then I have not yet found an easy way to get them to understand, except for the fact that over here the word as is used in the sense of because, and that is a subordinating conjunction. Therefore, it is a subordinating conjunction in this sentence. Okay. But like I said, I cannot, I myself, if I were the student and teacher were to tell this to me, I would not be convinced. I have not found a more convincing answer. If any one of you knows, please enlighten me. I would really, really like to know what to do in such a situation. Moving on. When we finally come to main clause and subordinate clause, that is complex sentences. We have moved from simple, looked at clauses in simple sentences. We have looked at clauses in compound sentences. And finally, now we have come to complex sentence. Now again, a problem occurs. Which is the main clause and which is the subordinate clause? For me, quite often in the beginning, the students find it difficult to identify a main clause and a subordinate clause, especially if the positioning of the two is reversed. Then, because you know what happens is everybody looks for that one. Acha, from here to here is one part, second part is dependent clause. You know, they try to look for easy ways out of the situation, but that does not always work. So what are we? Let us look at what is a main clause. It is a clause that can form a complete sentence standing alone, having a subject and a predicate. Now let's look at this, the words that are there in what a main clause is. It has to have a subject and a predicate. Fine, that is what a clause is. There is no problem with that. But it has to form a complete sentence standing alone. There is your clue for the child to know which is the main clause and which is the dependent clause. For example, if the sentence is something like, the boys laughed at the monkey who was swinging from the branch, something like that. Okay. Now let's look at the sentence. The boys laughed at the monkey who was jumping from, who was swinging on the branch. The boys laughed at the monkey. Forms, it makes sense on its own. It's a sentence that can stand alone. And whereas if you look at the next one, who was swinging on the branch? By itself, it cannot stand. It doesn't make any sense, because what is one of the parts of being a sentence, or one of the definitions of being a sentence? That a sentence is a group of words that makes complete sense. So who was swinging on a branch does not make complete sense. Hence, it is not a sentence. Whereas the boys laughed at the monkey. That makes complete sense. If it makes complete sense, then it is a main clause. If it does not make complete sense, it is a dependent clause. Okay. Having told you all this, I'll give you this one sentence that one student gave me, and then I'll tell you the questions that she asked me. She said, I know the secret that she told you not to tell me. Okay. Then she said, ma'am, where do you break up the sentence? Okay. This was after I had explained what is a noun clause, an adjective clause, etc., etc. Because she's saying, oops. She said, if you say, I know, and you break up the sentence there, I know the secret that she told you not to tell me is the second part of the sentence. Then it becomes, I know what? The secret, blah, blah, blah. Then it becomes a noun clause. But then if you break up as, I know the secret, break up there, that she told you not to tell me, then that she told you becomes an adjective clause, because I know the secret. Which secret? The one that she told you not to tell me. Okay. So ma'am, how will you explain this to me? Okay. Can somebody tell me, if a child were to come with this problem, how do you explain what to do? Nobody has come to you with this? Okay. Now yes, Himanshu, sir, tell me. No? Okay. Yes, Yamini ma'am.
I may be wrong, ma'am, But sometime, a long time back, when I faced this problem, where while teaching clauses and types of clauses, I had come across a site on Google. I don't remember the exact site, but there were some steps given over there as to how to identify any clause. So the first step was to identify the subject and the verb. So I go about that way. So my kids tell me very clearly, Miss, I is the subject, no is the verb. And
yes, ma'am. I'm asking, no, you didn't get my question. What this student asked me is, where do I break up the sentence? Do I break up as I know is the first part? The secret that she told you not to tell me is the second part. Is that the the second part, second clause? Or I know the secret is one clause, that she told you not to tell me is the next clause?
ma'am, coming to that only, the children will tell me that she is the second subject and told is my second verb. And then they start looking out for the connector, the subordinating conjunction. Now, when I ask them, because we had a similar sentence like this, I don't remember that sentence now, but it was the same situation and I was unable to convince the student. So I sat down and, at that point of time, I was not all that tech savvy also. So now also I'm not, but I managed to. And then I asked the students, find out the conjunction for me. So they looked and they told me, Miss, that is the conjunction.
Right.
So I said, yes, that is the conjunction. So how can I know be my main clause?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes, Yamini ma'am, that is the answer. And this is for all the teachers here also, that in case you get into a situation where you might get confused, where to cut the sentence. Because you know what happens, no matter how much we study and go, children have a habit of posing some bouncers to you. And at that time, you don't know what, what is the answer and you get confused. So one very easy way for you to keep track of what you're teaching is to tell the students, wherever that, like Yamini ma'am was telling, wherever the connector is there, who, what, which, or if it is not there, where it is supposed to be. For example, in the same sentence which is there, which you can see on the screen, I can even say, I know the secret she told you not to tell me. Okay, that may not be there. But okay, first let's take the two situations. First, let's take the situation where the word that is there. Okay, that or who or which or what, whatever it is. If there's a connector, you break up the sentence before the connector. What comes before the connector is one clause. What comes after the connector is the other clause. Okay, that's one way of keeping control. If there is no connector, like I said, I know the secret she told you not to tell me, then you ask them to see whether there is possibility of any connector to be put in the sentence. For example, if they know, if some English they know, they are not going to say, I know that the secret, or I know the secret she told that you not to tell me, so they will know where to put the connector. Okay, or they might say, instead of that, they might say which, whatever it is. So I know the secret which she told you not to tell me, that they will be able to give it to you. And then you will be able, then you can go ahead and say, now I know the secret, which secret that she told you not to tell me. Therefore, it becomes an adjective clause. Okay, so this again, I'm coming back to the point that make it very, very clear to the child what a clause is all about before you go into types of clauses. In fact, if your school, your principal or your head of the department, whoever it is who decides the syllabus, if they are okay with it, I would say don't do only types of clauses. There is actually no need. I know for a fact that in the CBSE and in the ICSE curriculum, you don't need to know. You need to know what is a clause and to be able to manipulate between a clause and a phrase and things like that. But I think it is still there in the state boards that you are supposed to tell which kind of clause modifying this word or complement of this word or whatever. That is there in the state board. Hence, I will be dealing with the types of clauses also. If you belong to any of the like what to say, pan-India boards, and it is not there, please find out. If you're teaching in the lower classes only and you are not teaching 9th and 10th, please find out. You can go on the net, you can look at the papers, you can see, or you can ask your colleagues what is required. Even in the schools where I have worked, I have always made it a point to tell each and every teacher that the 10th standard teacher should know what is happening before, from standard 1 to 10. First standard teacher should know what is happening in up to the 10th standard, because then you will know what to teach and how much to teach. Because a lot of things are otherwise not required. The grammar books that are available, since I myself am an author of a series of grammar books, the grammar books that are available are for all the boards, whether it is state board, CBSE, ICSE, it's for all the boards. Hence, we are supposed to cover all the topics. But that does not mean that you have to do every single thing which is there. And how will you know what to teach and what not to teach? By finding out what is required for your particular children when they go and write the 10th standard. Coming back with this also, if you go on the net, and now everybody goes on the net, therefore I always make it a point to go on the net and see what is available. I don't just look at the textbooks, and because sometimes textbooks are also directly taken, a lot of things are taken from the net. Now, if you go on the net, this is the list of clauses that are available. Please, I beg of you, don't sit and teach all of this to your children. Teach only what is required, and I'll tell you why. When we verbless clauses, horrible to try and teach the child the difference between a verbless clause and a phrase, because a phrase is a group of words without a verb. Then the student is going to say, what do you mean by a verbless clause? When you're saying that a verbless clause is a phrase, earlier you're telling me that, now you're saying there is something called a verbless clause. Okay, so don't go into that only. It's a quicksand, believe me. Okay, then comparative clauses. I'll come to this when we are doing adjectival. All this relative, conditional, all these are contained in these three clauses: noun, adjective, and adverb. If you have taught these, you would have covered all this. Okay, so again, please check in the papers whether they are asking specifically for conditional clause or comparative clause or relative clause. Only if those terms are being used at the board level should you touch these as separate. Otherwise, don't. Just these three are more than enough: noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause. Okay. Okay, so what is a noun clause? First of all, we have taught the child to understand what is a dependent clause, because it is the dependent clause which is noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause. We are not concerned with the main clause at all. By the way, the main clause, there are other words also, because I don't know which books you will be referring to or which sites you go to. Main clause, principal clause, independent clause, these three mean the same. Okay, so with whatever it is, I'm just referring to it as main clause. Okay, so the main clause, we do not consider that at all for the kinds of clauses or the types of clauses. We are looking only at the dependent clause for the types. Okay, that first of all the child has to understand, otherwise they go somewhere else and then they make a mistake. Then, so let's look at the dependent clause. Now, I know what you did yesterday. Okay, now we have told the child to break the sentence before the connector. So the connector is what? So I know. Now you ask the question, I know what you did yesterday. So you're getting an answer to the question what. If you get an answer to the question what, it is a noun clause. All of you must be teaching this, okay? But I just want you to be a little careful about one thing. Like I told you, you give one small thing to the child and then the child just goes down that road only. It does not mean that every time the word what is there or that is there, it is a noun clause. Okay? There is no such connection. It is only if you get an answer to the question what or who, that the next few words are considered to be a noun clause. I've given 2 examples here. Now, generally the word which is, we connect it with adjective. Okay, and generally the word where we connect it to adverb. But if you look at the question, at the sentences here, sorry, I know which dress you like the best. Okay, I know, and you break it up. Here still you're asking, I know what? I know what? I know which dress you like the best. Okay. Next sentence, I know where to get the best bhel puri. Now, even though the word over here, connector, is where, you're still asking the question what? I know what? Where to get the best bhel puri. Okay. So throughout you're asking the question what? And you're getting the answer. So whether it is what you did yesterday, which dress you like, where to get, all these are still noun clauses. They do not change just because the connector has changed. They don't change. You only look at the question that you're asking. Okay. This I've just given. I'll go quickly through this. Please tell me who came to the party. We would break it up after please tell me. So please tell me what, who came to the party. You haven't told me whose car this is. You haven't told me what, whose car this is. I wonder why Sarah is absent. I wonder what, why Sarah is absent. Please note the connector is different at every stage. Who, whose, why. I can't tell you where he lives. I can't tell you what, where he lives. I don't remember when Mary was born. I don't remember what, when Mary was born. I can't remember how much it costs. I can't remember what, how much it costs. I wonder who lives in that place. I wonder what, who lives in that place. Every single one of them, you get the answer as the dependent clause. You get it by asking the question what. And therefore, all of them are noun clauses, even though the connectors are all different. Now we come to a little bit of a tricky situation. What happens if the thing is inverted? If the clause is at the beginning of the sentence? Whatever I say here should not be repeated. Now, what have we taught our children so far? Wherever you see the connector, draw the line there. So he draws the line right in the beginning. Whatever I say here should not be repeated. Is that whole thing a clause? No, it's a sentence because it makes complete sense. Remember, just because you say it's a sentence, he should not accept it. If you have been a good teacher, he should be asking you questions at every step. Okay. So does this make sense? Whatever I say here should not be repeated. It is a complete sentence. It makes complete sense and therefore it's a sentence. Okay. Now, since it's a sentence, okay, let's look at, are there 2 parts which you would break? Whatever I say here should not be repeated. Okay. Now, what should not be repeated? Whatever I say here. So, am I getting a question, answer? Which part am I getting an answer? I'm getting the first part as my answer. All right. Then the child will ask, but suppose I ask a question for whatever I say here. I said, all right, fine, ask. Whatever I say here, which question? Why? No. Whatever I say here, when? Whatever I say here, what? Whatever I say here, who? Nothing. It makes no sense. But if I say what should not be repeated, whatever I say here. Therefore, whatever I say here depends upon should not be repeated. And therefore, that is the noun clause. Similarly, the second one, that we will fail, is certain. Another way, if your children are able to do it, Okay, because it's easy for us as teachers. Sometimes it's a little difficult for students. Therefore, you can try this. Another way is, okay, first you break it up into two parts. Whatever I say here should not be repeated. Can you substitute some word for whatever I say here? It or that should not be repeated. You can do that. So it or that is something. When it is a thing, what is the name, or what is it that we call, what do we say for the name of a thing? Person, place, animal, thing, which you learned when you were in grade 1. It's a noun. Therefore, this is a noun clause. But this is not so, easy for the children to understand. You can try it. Similarly, that we will fail is certain. What is certain? That we will fail. Or it is certain. What is that it? That we will fail. Therefore, the first part is the dependent clause, and the second part from is certain is the main clause. Immediately the question will come, where is the subject to that, miss? Is certain. Where is the subject? Okay, but then you have to tell it is understood. It is certain. Like if I were to invert the order of the sentence, how will I write it? I will say it is certain that we will fail. I will write it like that, so that it is understood and that it is the subject of the sentence. Okay. Before I go further, is there anyone having any doubts? Because this appositive again is a bit difficult. So I just need to know whether any doubts need to be clarified before I go further.
I don't see any doubt in the chat box either.
No? Okay. Right. Now, this is another thing that I came across, again, like I said, on my friend, the net. Appositive noun clause. Now, what is this appositive noun clause? Appositive noun clause is where a clause gives a little more information about the subject. Then immediately, you see what happens, I have been trained so well by my students. Okay, they have made me really a very good teacher, because when I say I'm a good teacher, no, I'm a good student because they have made me a very, very good student, because immediately the questions keep coming in my mind. So we say that any word that tells you a little more about the noun, we call it an adjective. So a group of words that tell you more about the noun should be an adjective clause. So what is this appositive then? Okay. Look at the first two sentences just below appositive noun clauses. The lion, a huge ferocious beast, attacked the traveler. Okay. And the second one, the lion, which was leading the pride, attacked the traveler. Now let's look at the first one. If I do not have the words the lion, okay, can that sentence make, does that sentence make sense? A huge ferocious beast attacked the traveler. Yes, it makes sense. Okay. Whereas if I remove in the second sentence the lion and I say which was leading the pride attacked the traveler, it does not make sense. So in the first sentence, that a huge ferocious beast is just giving what to say, it is acting as a second noun. Okay, it's acting, it's so it is known as an appositive noun clause. Whereas in the second one, the lion which was leading the pride, that which was leading the pride is telling you, is an what to say, it is describing the lion. It is an adjective clause. The lion, which was leading the pride, right? So that is an adjective clause. Similarly, I've given you the second one. The boy, a mischievous 5-year-old, was selling balloons. Okay. If I remove the boy, a mischievous 5-year-old was selling balloons, still makes sense. The boy with the mischievous smile was selling balloons. If I remove the boy and I say with the mischievous smile was selling balloons, it doesn't make sense. And therefore, the first and the third sentences are appositive noun clauses. The clauses in those sentences, not that the whole sentence is a clause, no, that a huge ferocious beast in the first sentence, that is an appositive noun clause. And a mischievous 5-year-old, that clause in the third sentence is an appositive noun clause. Now, don't worry, you don't need to teach this, because I doubt whether such a clause is there in any of the boards. So don't worry, don't teach. Then why am I talking about this here? To tell you that when you are framing sentences, be careful not to frame sentences like this and call that, suppose the line, a huge ferocious beast attacked the traveler, and you say a huge ferocious beast, don't call that an adjective clause. Then you are wrong. Okay, so as teachers, we should know the difference between an appositive noun clause and an adjective clause, but we don't need to pass this on to our students. Okay. Is this appositive noun clause clear to everyone?
You can all unmute to say yes or put a thumbs up. Anything that will get us going.
Yes, it is clear. Yes.
Ma'am, explain again, ma'am. Really,
That's
but just summarize it once again.
Yeah. So in a sentence, when you have a clause which works as another noun, where if you remove the first noun, it still makes sense. I'll use the same sentences here because it is, you can see it on the screen. If I just say, if we were in a class, I would be writing other sentences so that you can see it, because for this you need to see. Okay, so the lion, a huge ferocious beast, attacked the traveler. Now in this, what happens? You have two things. You have the lion and a huge ferocious beast. Yes, a huge ferocious beast is talking about the lion, correct? But if you remove the words the lion, that sentence still makes sense. A huge ferocious beast attacked the traveler. Therefore, it is a noun clause. Okay, and it is called appositive because it is adding to the noun which is there. It is not modifying or complementing, nothing. It is just adding. Therefore, it is called appositive. The lion, a huge ferocious beast, attacked the traveler. If I remove the words the lion, it still makes sense. The second one, the lion which was leading the pride. Okay, by the way, I have made a mistake here in the two sentences that I have given you. I wonder how come none of you caught it. When I was reading it out to you, I have realized that I have made a mistake. What mistake have I made? Tell me, in the first and the third sentence, in talking about the appositive noun clauses.
The last sentence, the boy with the mischievous.
No. I'm telling first and third. Okay.
Past tense?
Sorry?
It is in the past tense.
Look at just a huge ferocious beast. And what have we been telling about what are clauses all this while? It has to have a verb in it. And a huge ferocious beast, where is the verb? Okay. So anyway, that is apart. Just so long as you understand what is an appositive noun clause. Okay. The lion, a huge ferocious beast. Okay. Attack the traveler, appositive noun clause, because please substitute it with a clause later on in your example. Right now, I don't want to spend a lot of time because this is something I'm telling you all not to teach in the class. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on what you should not be teaching in the class. Okay. So long as you understand what is the difference. Yes, Yamini ma'am.
Ma'am, but appositive clauses help when we do synthesis or transformation of sentences, especially when you're changing to simple sentence.
Yes, ma'am. But my point is you are using it, but you don't need to teach that this is known as an appositive noun clause and all that.
Got it. Got your point.
Huh? Okay. Okay. May I go ahead? All right. So when you're teaching, you first expose the child to many examples. I've given you just a few over here with how like she knows what, that I'm a student. He said her girlfriend's name. He said what? Remember here the word that is not there, but you are substituting in your mind. He said that her girlfriend's name is Saloni. They know that she doesn't eat. I think what? That she does. Like this, you keep on each sentence, you keep saying what, etc. Okay, so that it goes into the child's mind that this is what is a noun clause. Then we come to adjective clause. Again, like I really feel I don't want to spend time teaching it. Unless somebody wants it, please let me know, then I will go ahead. Okay, basically what is it? We are asking for that question, which or what kind of. If we get an answer to that, then it is an adjective clause. Like this is the girl. Now, what happens? This we have taught the child noun clause. Okay, we have taught the child where to cut the sentence. Okay, and then ask the question. So then you ask, when you're introducing adjective clauses, don't first give the definition. You write this sentence. This is the girl who came first in the race. Okay, children, where will you cut the sentence? This is the girl. You put a slash over there. Who came first in the race? What is the question that you will ask? You have been going on dinning into them. What? So this is the girl. What? Do you get an answer? You don't get an answer. So this is not a noun clause. This is the girl. Which girl are you talking about? This is the girl who came first in the race. So we have changed the question, and therefore the kind of clause is an adjective clause. Okay, so draw their attention to the fact that you have changed the kind of question. So which or what kind of, then you come to it is known as an adjective clause. So this is the house where the thief was caught. Even though the word is where over here, what are we doing? We are breaking it up after house. So this is the house. Which house? Where the thief was caught. This is the reason. Which reason? Why we keep getting confused. Clear? So you are asking all the time for which, and you get an answer, then it becomes an adjective clause. Okay. Here again, I have just given you more examples of adjective clause. Pizza, which most people love, is not very healthy. Now, sometimes give them sentences with that, embedded clause also, not just in the beginning or at the end, but something in between. And then you ask them, which are the two sentences over here? Pizza is not very healthy. Pizza is loved by, most people love pizza. These are the two sentences. We are putting them together. So pizza, which most people love, is not very healthy. So that which most people love is your clause, and it's an adjectival clause. I will just go through it quickly. Those people, which people whose names are on the list. Grandpa remembers. Now see over here. Grandpa remembers. Are we going to cut over here? Grandpa remembers what? The old days and all that? No. We are going to cut before the connector. Grandpa remembers the old days. Cut. Which old days? When there was no television. Fruit. The word is that over here. So fruit, cut. Fruit. Which fruit? That is grown organically. Okay. Students. Which students? Who work hard. Eco-friendly cars. Which cars are these? Which primarily run on electricity, etc.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Abha ma'am.
Like in third sentence, you said grandpa remembers. So we do not need to cut here with grandpa remembers. Somewhere we need to give the reason to this child here.
Sorry?
That the moment you see the connector, there only before the connector, you need to have a cut, not before that.
Not before that. Otherwise, it gets extremely confusing for the child. Where do I cut it?
Okay.
So always tell them cut before the connector.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Now we come to adverbial or adverb clause. The dependent clause functions as an adverb of place, time, manner, reason, etc. I have to work even when I am sick. Where are we cutting? Not before even. I have to work even when When I am sick. Call me. When? When you have finished working. Please visit us. When? Whenever you like. We can meet. Where? Wherever you prefer. I haven't been well since I returned from vacation. Now comes a problem. There is no connector. Okay. So I haven't been well. Now over here, you tell them go by your instinct. So long as a connector is there, cut it near the connector. When the connector is not there, then you see which are the two parts of the sentence. I haven't been well. Since when? Since I returned from vacation. She could not pay the bill. That word as is there. Remember, I had told you there's this problem with this word as. She could not pay the bill. Why? As she was not there. You will get the prize. Why? Since you always do well. Remember to take your identity card. When? Before entering the high school. So you will see that the last 4 sentences do not have a connector. If you are giving, see teachers, you up to 10th standard, you are in control of the sentences that the children are working with. So you have to be careful while framing the sentence. But once the child is coming to the 9th and all that, you have to expose the child to different kinds. That this also might be, that also might be, because you are not in control of the sentence that is going to come. So if he understands the basic, what it is, what is a clause, what is a group of words, which is a clause, etc., he will be able to do no matter what is given to him. He is not going to say, this is not something that my teacher has not taught, etc. If he has understood. And therefore, this emphasis that I keep placing on understanding, that the child must understand what he is being taught. Yeah, remember I had told you that there are different kinds of clauses that are available on the net. Okay. Now clauses of, sorry, somebody said something. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. Like you were talking about as in, like there's as is a bit dicey. So what is that? Like?
Yeah. So what I had said, no, that the word as comes in one of the as one of the coordinating conjunctions in the word fanboys.
Yes,
you are aware of this, ma'am? Fanboys, what I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Very well. Yes, yes, yes.
So
the coordinating conjunctions.
Coordinating conjunctions, right? So whenever we are using coordinating conjunctions, we say that those are compound sentences, isn't it? Right? So
yes,
when we are using coordinating conjunctions, we say those are compound sentences. So the word as, when it is there, should be a compound sentence. And in a compound sentence, actually one part of the sentence does not depend upon the other as such. We talk about dependent clauses only for subordinating conjunctions. Right? So this is the confusion that I have in my mind, which I have not been able to explain satisfactorily to myself. Okay? Except this, that when it is used in the meaning of because, that's how you have to understand it. So that's why I had said right in the beginning, if anyone knows a better way of explaining, please, I'm more, will be most happy to learn from you. Coming to this, I had talked about, remember when I had told you that there are different kinds of clauses that are listed on the net. Okay, so there is clauses of condition. They had given you conditional clauses. That comes under adverbial clause. Clauses of comparison. By the way, when we are talking about clauses of comparison, just want to draw your attention to this one thing. We do degrees of comparison, no, with the children, right? So that time, what do we say? That he is taller than me. You are smarter than me. But actually it is you are smarter than I, not me. He is tall. She is tall. She is younger than he, not him. It sounds very odd. It sounds very odd because we are used to always talking about she is younger than him. I am taller than him, not he. But actually, the sentence should be, I am taller than he is. That is understood. As I've given you over here, she is smarter than I. The word am is understood. So in degrees of comparison, when you're doing that, please keep this in mind and tell the children that they should not use the word him or me. It is he or I at the end when we are using the comparative degree. Okay. Why is it important for when we are coming to adverbial clauses? Why am I talking about that? Suppose you look at this sentence, she is smarter than I, or the way we use it, okay? Just how do we normally talk? She is smarter than me. Okay. So when you say she is smarter than me, it is a simple sentence because there is only one verb. Okay. So there is no clause only over there, but comparative clause is there. So what is that? Because it is supposed to be, she is smarter than I am. So that is your second verb in the sentence. And therefore, it is known as a clause of comparison and it comes under adverbial clause. I hope I have not confused you all on this, but in case you need further explanation, we can talk about it. Similarly, clause of contrast, that though the sun is shining, it is cold. Wherever there are two opposite meaning ideas, that is also coming under adverbial clause. These things try not to teach this in the classes. It's not required. Okay. As I had told you, I felt that the topic of clauses is pretty easy, and therefore I feel that I have finished with my class. And this time I'm very proud of myself that I have finished it in 1 hour in the time that I have been given. However, if anyone has any doubts or any suggestions, clarifications, please, the floor is free for you.
Comparison of clauses generally comes, this kind of question generally comes in competitive exams.
Okay, so that is not there in the board exam, right? In the 10th.
Not in board exam, but at times we do need to prepare the children for Olympiads. And there we have such kind of sentences.
For which class, ma'am? Which standard?
7th, 8th, 9th.
So at that time they are exposed to competitive exams which contain this. Sorry?
Ma'am, like Olympiads, this starts from class
in
1.
Olympiads. Okay. So in Olympiads, you do get questions like this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I have learned a new thing. I did not know that in Olympiads you get questions like this. Yes, Yamini ma'am.
And these days, ma'am, there are a lot many competitive exams therein we have these kind of questions, and children have to face such kind of examinations. Like there are a lot many private firms, those who keep on approaching the school for the conduction of various kind of competitive exams. So in that case, we do get such kind of questions.
Okay. So now you know how to handle it then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
At the SSC level, ma'am, the SSC board level, besides adverb clause besides the how, when, why, we also have adverb clause of result, adverb clause of purpose.
Yeah. So those are because that is easy. When you're doing adverbs, also you are doing adverb of manner, adverb of reason, blah blah blah. You are doing all those kinds. So that's the same thing that comes under adverb clauses, now.
I had put it up in the chat box also. Okay. I may be wrong. As per my knowledge, fanboys stands for, the A in the fanboy stands for and not as.
No, it is for, and, nor. What is that? Yeah. Correct.
And as.
Yes. As. So no, my problem was with so. I'm so sorry. I told as, but my problem was with so. But anyway, as is very much subordinating conjunction. Yeah, thank you so much, Yamini ma'am. Otherwise, so many people would have thought, what is this that ma'am is talking about? Yeah.
Another thing is, ma'am, I just wanted to know, since, before, as, these are also conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions.
Yeah.
Now, what I have found is when I have put up sentences on the board, for example, I'm just giving an example. After dinner, comma, we went out for a walk. Okay. Very often I find that the children do not understand the concept that after can be used as a preposition also. Because in this particular sentence, I have not used after as a subordinator. I've used after as a preposition.
Okay.
After dinner, comma, we went out for a walk. I have only one finite verb, went. So therefore, it becomes a simple sentence.
Correct.
Children are not able to differentiate that. This is one problem that I faced in the class.
No. So what do they think it is?
They think it is a complex sentence because after is there. Or it is
but ma'am, even in a complex sentence, you need to have two finite verbs. Where is the verb in after dinner?
That is what I am facing quite often, you know.
Okay.
Because they think it is used as refer for time or reason, like Madhu ma'am has written over there. Ma'am, it is very difficult, you know, for to get them to understand that concept. One. Two, Madhu and Yamini went for a walk. Compound sentence straight away. They do not even sit to analyze. Then, you know, I have to go back. So yeah, I mean, is there some tip where this problem can be sorted out?
Maybe what you can do is write okay, what I in a related kind of a topic. This was when I was teaching, I think in grade 3 or something like that. I used to go crazy because the children would write cutted and putted, all this, you know, instead of cut and put and costed, it costed. That is even 9th standard kids write like that. It costed me so much, and that used to irritate me like anything. I really did not know what to do. So I made, you know, they play like this, no, there's whatever game that is called. So I would sit with this thing, you know, like cut, put, shut, something. I don't remember now because this was so many years ago. But I would make a game that no ED, cut, put, shut, hit. Cut, put, shut, hit, no ED. I would just go on making them say that no ED, no ED. And that is how they would get it into their head. Like that, if you can have some kind of a thing that after, when, before, something, not a verb or something like that, you know.
Okay.
Get them to just learn it like a rhyme or something that way.
And this
so
is
when logic does not apply, and it does not, I mean, they are not able to apply logic, then the only thing is to learn it in this kind of a manner.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. I mean, I also let me know what you all would like to do in the next session. What you'd like to take me to take up. And
prepositions, ma'am.
Ma'am, everybody asks me preposition. The problem with prepositions is that there is no way to, there's no logic in it. It is through reading. I'll find out how to teach it. Because this, always the children tell me this, children's parents tell me this, ma'am, prepositions. Now the problem is that prepositions is just...
We have demo classes. We have demo classes, and principal all of a sudden, like she comes and she gives the topic.
As prepositions.
Even the models also, ma'am, models also we I do not find any logic at certain places.
Yes.
Like must or to. I know there are certain differences, but then also to make it understand to the children to a certain extent becomes quite difficult to convince them. The usage of would and could for the request.
Right. At least there is something that you can place, something you can say that most of the time you do this. But because honestly, when a child says, why should it be put aside and not put by? I don't have an answer to that question.
Yes, ma'am. This is what we also get stuck up. We don't have an
Yes.
answer what to do. And one more thing I would like to ask here, like when we were giving demo, our principal told the way you're teaching is now that children will not have the attention span of that 30 minutes and your lecture sounds so boring and there's no interaction. There is no creativity in your teaching in grammar. This is what I was wondering, what kind of creativity we can bring in teaching grammar topics.
Oh,
So
ma'am, you
please
can do a
suggest some
lot.
like
You can do a lot. Maybe
please
sometimes.
suggest that also.
Yeah. Now let's take prepositions. Okay. When it is the very simple ones, na, where you have preposition of play specially, you can play a game, you know, that you hide a ball and one other, the person keeps going closer.
Ma'am,
And
9th, 10th children, 8th, 9th,
Oh,
10th children.
okay.
Forget about 1st to 5th.
Okay. No, so with them, again, prepositions, of course, don't ask me because I'm also stumped by that. But other.
But what about other, like same with other topics of grammar, no matter whether you take it clause or you take determiners, no matter whichever topic you take, you find it, how to present it creatively and make class lively. And,
Yeah, okay.
you know,
like it will depend upon that particular topic. Maybe sometime we will take that up, ma'am. And then we can work out, even we can just ask all the other teachers also. I can also give my ideas because in fact, I have a lot of fun in my grammar classes. Okay, so
ma'am, please share those experiences. One day we can have a session wherein you can share your teaching experiences, the kind of fun you had with your children.
Yeah, and I'm still having with my students. Yes, yeah, we do a lot in the class. Of course, with the 9th and 10th, it becomes a little less because constantly the pressure is there of completing the portion and things like that. But up to 8th standard, you can definitely do a lot with the children with grammar. Yes, I will definitely do.
Another ma'am,
Yes.
modals.
Modals, no? You want me to take up modals next time?
How to, because each one of them has so many uses. And it's mind-boggling for the children. Like, they are just.
Yes. Even at times the teachers also get stuck up, will have to or will be, what will come? I don't know.
So, okay, I'll take that up, but I'm just giving you one, a global tip sort of thing. You have to look at it in depth, that we will do next time. But, rather than give single sentences, what you should do is you should give a situation. And then you give that whether should or could or whatever, because if you just give one sentence, it is difficult. All this could, should, must, and all that are highly situation specific words. Like if I tell you that, all of you should attend next class, okay, or all of you must attend next class. It depends upon the tone also with which I am saying and all that. So you have to give a complete passage or a story and then get the children to fill in the blanks in that. That's why I said this is how I make it interesting, by taking a story and getting them to the sing. And in fact, I tell them, okay, now this is the correct answer, now make it wrong. How will you, if you put it in the wrong place, how are you going to read it? So that way we will do it, ma'am. We will do this thing next time. I'll do models and I'll give you certain kinds of exercises that you can take up.
Thank you. And one more.
Even I have a tip I would like to share, interrupting you in between.
Yeah.
I don't know how far I'm correct. Like for will and shall, at times there are certain places we tend to get confused whether to use will or shall. So the best possible way is to use a contracted form, apostrophe and double L. So whether it is will, it is meant for will or shall, let the person on the other side try to comprehend. So you better, if you're in doubt, put apostrophe and write the contracted form. It is applicable for both will and shall.
Okay.
Is it so?
Yeah.
And what is the difference between a homograph and a homonym?
Okay. As far as I have to again look this up because this is a long time since I have looked at it. But because I usually deal with homophone and homonym, But as far as I remember, ma'am, we'll have to check this up. So don't, say, oh, you told me that last time. But as far as I remember, a homograph is where the word, the spelling of the word is the same, but you pronounce it in two different ways. For example, a homophone is two different spellings, but you pronounce in the same way, like HAIR and HARE, right? That is a homophone. Homonym is where you have the same spelling, same pronunciation, but different meaning. Bark of a tree and bark of a dog. So, but when you have when you have the same spelling, but you have two different ways of pronouncing. For example, ROW, okay, is your row, your boat, and there was a row. There was a fight, or this, so those kind of words, as far as I remember, ma'am, I have to check this up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We'll wait till the next session for the clarification.
Yeah.
I will look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I think this was a very, very enriched session with a lot of doubts, and it's always a pleasure to have all the participants interact so much, but that gives me a break. I don't have to talk that much. And with the Anuradha ma'am session, that is always the case. So I can plan to do a few other things as well now. So I've noted down, teachers, for the next time we'll have, and thank you so much, Abha ma'am, thank you so much. And we intend to continue with all your support and all your, enriching feedbacks. So next time, I've noted down, we'll take up models. I've already shared the link of the feedback in the chat box. I'll also share it in the WhatsApp group. So you can fill in your feedbacks and you can continue telling us what we can do, where we can improve. Yes, when we began the commune, I was a little apprehensive, including not only just me, my management was also apprehensive. Aap kab tak ye karoge aur kya karte rahoge? You have planned something like this, but I don't know how long it's going to last. But now I can see another year of the commune continuing. So we have a lot to cover. And I take your point. In fact, all of you have given me a very good idea on creative teaching of English grammar. And I'll plan a bigger session around that, so that we can cover a few more aspects. Again, I'll request you once again, if you've used any of the ma'am's techniques in your classes, to share them with us. If you have, like Abha ma'am just shared one of them, if any one of you has any method or any creative teaching ideas which you've shared, please share it with us. I'll shortly come back to you on the kind of idea that's going on in my mind. But of course, I want to do it with the commune, with all of you there, with this community. So whatever ideas you have and whatever creative ideas you share, we will use them with your name along with it. We'll not say it is Madhuban's ideas or Anuradha ma'am's ideas. They are yours, and we would like to acknowledge them as your ideas. So just share them with us. And I have taken your point. I will plan an interesting session around it. Trust me, a very, very interesting session around it.
Please session
Yes.
about like how to teach grammar in a very creative and different,
I have
making
noted,
it interesting.
I have noted it down. Anuradha ma'am's mind says I'm going to brainstorm with her.
8th, 9th also. Think of that level also. 7th, 8th, 9th that time.
Even I will explore. I'll brainstorm it with Anuradha ma'am. Okay. So, and give us a little time. I'll, in about, let's say about a month, I'm going to come up with something interesting around that. Right? I promise, 100%. But yes, I will wait for any smallest of creative ideas you have to make this event on creative teaching ideas for grammar a great success and something interesting, something not only from the resource, but also from my community. Right? So please do share your ideas. I would want to create a big wall in my office saying these are the ideas we got from the commune members. Right? So thank you so much. I think it's time for tea and samosas from Punjab and Daveli from Maharashtra and Pavada Pav from everywhere, wherever you have whatever, idlis from South. So have a cup of tea, enjoy your evening, and have a very good weekend ahead. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Anuradha ma'am.
Thank you.